Hello, everyone. I am Katie from Resilia. And for those who are unfamiliar with Resilia, we are a nonprofit first technology company supporting nonprofits and affiliates like yours on every stage of their journey, from forming their 501c3 work to working with capacity building resources such as storytelling, board management, and fundraising to support your mission and the work on the ground. So I have been asked by Siobhan to just share a few notes about storytelling and communicating impact as you work through today's seminar. So just to get us started, I wanted to kind of bring us together to talk about what is data. So data is essential in your storytelling capabilities and making sure you're a strong storyteller. And there are many types and ways to communicate and calculate data to help express your organization's mission and the success and impact of your programming. So there are two types of data that you might be familiar with, qualitative and quantitative, which we'll talk about in detail a little bit further on in the presentation. But as many of you know, data is not just limited to facts and figures. Data can be used to qualify the who's, the what's, the whens, and how's of your mission work. Just for example, how many blindness training workshops have you held this year? Who supported you in that process of those trainings? Where are these attendees located and who is now benefiting from that work now that they've graduated from that program? And this can include their demographic makeup, where they're located, and what length of time. So having this information on hand, you'll be able to create a more holistic picture of your mission work with those type of data points in mind. So there are three types of rules that we'd like you to consider when collecting data and improving your storytelling. The first one is going to be considered when you're collecting data is what you're collecting show a true need in your community. Is the information captured specific to your work? Is that communicating a gulf between what the situation is now and what your organization and your affiliate is doing to directly rectify it? This helps add worth to your mission work and can gain support in your fundraising initiatives, help you obtain new volunteers with like-minded business goals, and really help build brand awareness for your affiliate in particular. Rule number two, and the one that I believe is most important, is does the data you're collecting show an impact of your work? The data that you have at your fingertips should be able to highlight the importance of your programming on causing change on a specific goal over a certain period of time. This can be shown with data on a more micro level. Say, for example, I work with a lot of climate initiative organizations, so maybe the impact of one specific climate leadership training program on affecting positive behavior and improving conditions moving forward for those leaders in particular, let's say 10 who joined that program, and where they are right now in their communities. So that's kind of a micro level aspect of your impact. And then you can also take a look at that macro level of your impact. So how do your efforts as an affiliate, as an organization, affect change on the larger population? Maybe that's through participating in legislative work, communicating across affiliates, etc. That type of information, that type of impact might take many years to capture and really understand the true value that you're having. So there are opportunities to measure more direct results and impact of your mission work, as well as forecast for the future your long-term efforts as an organization. So we encourage you not to just solely focus on your activities and your day-to-day programming, but really predicting that greater impact of your work over time and how you're really affecting the Louisiana community. And the third rule to consider is that what the data you're collecting, does it really show a value? What is the point of the data you're collecting? Maybe you've been collecting data for a long time that no longer makes sense to your programming work, doesn't actually help you, it's just a burden. Let's get rid of that information. We want to make sure that what we're focusing on really is valuable to the work that you're doing. So how does collecting that information and communicating it back to your constituents really bring your work to life? So these are going to be real opportunities to illustrate the needs you're serving with your work and how your efforts address change overall in your community. So just as I mentioned, there are two types of data that you can utilize, qualitative and quantitative. And every organization has qualitative data. You just might need to look a little bit more internally to really find it and get your hands on it. So I really like to kind of focus on maybe a recent program participant or somebody who's being directly impacted by the work that you're doing with your programming. We can do that by highlighting one of your program participants, maybe somebody who's graduated through one of your trainings. Maybe you're able to interview an old board member and understand why they first got involved with their mission through the eyes of, the board member. Make sure that you can share examples of the impact the work you're having in your community through the eyes of someone who's participating in that work, whether they're benefiting from that training, whether they're a high-level volunteer or a board member, or even one of your staff constituents. We want to make sure that you take that information, share that out with your supporters so that they really understand that connection to the work and that impact. But before you do that, make sure that you practice ethical storytelling. You have permission to share their story. You want to make sure that they feel comfortable in that light. So on the flip side, every organization also has quantitative data at your reach. So these are that facts, those figures, those numbers, hours of classes, participants in your trainings, legislative work that you've created. By using these facts and figures to support your more personalized storytelling, like the qualitative side, so using one of that program participants and sharing that workshop information that they just held, is a great opportunity to really personalize your storytelling and share those direct numerical information. If you aren't sure where to start to kind of gather that quantitative information, you can look at past 990s to take a look at your older program information, or even your local census information to get a better understanding of who you're serving as a community and that potential for growth in Louisiana in particular. So just as you know, there are many members of your organizational community that can benefit by capturing and communicating data, and they all have specific roles in play in helping you along the way. So this storytelling aspect or crafting your elevator pitch, getting this information together is not just solely on your shoulders as an executive director, as a member of the fundraising team. Everyone has a particular role to play. So first and foremost, it's best to look internally and to create a culture in your affiliate that sees the value of data collection. And that's where your staff and your volunteers really look internally to support the executive director and that fundraising team. And it's not just a checkbox for an upcoming grant or just something you need to quickly get out to your supporters. So just for example, one of the past organizations I worked with was a museum, a history museum. And we had a goal as a staff to collect 5,000 oral histories from veterans of the World War II era. So, however, when our staff went out and started collecting these oral histories, there was no system in place to begin tracking the information that we were obtaining. So who were we speaking with, the diversity of those experiences of those veterans, the geographic distribution. So once we decided that we needed to take a step back, take a look and backlog the stories, the information we're currently tracking, we could see that there were some gaps in the information that we weren't currently available to. So this data really empowered the team to see patterns in our work and recognize areas where we can make an intervention and really improve our data collection as a whole. So just for example, instead of having 80% of our stories from European veterans, we were able to pivot and make sure we had a broad range of experiences. We were talking to folks all across the country in different theaters, different service areas, so that really could paint a broader impact of the work that we were having. And this diversity of stories have really helped us across our organization, not just on our fundraising team, but we were able to use that organization work to support our education team and create new education programs, our exhibit team to create new exhibit work. So just know that that data that you're collecting as an affiliate, make sure you spread that information across your staff because that information should be readily available at everyone's fingertips so that they have access to that story building capability. So outside of your staff and volunteers, your board of directors should be your biggest advocates. But if they don't have that information and the data on the importance of the work that you're doing as an organization, they cannot fulfill their role as advocates in their own personal communities. So let's just say if you're preparing for an upcoming board meeting, or looking for new ways to engage members that have maybe taken a bit of a back seat, utilizing data and storytelling is a great opportunity to lead and inspire them to really get involved in your mission. So perhaps in that board meeting, share with them a short anecdote, an example of really specific qualitative data like we mentioned. So focusing on one trainee program, one member who's really impacted by the work that you're doing. And then once you're able to kind of give that personalized anecdote, make sure you provide some high-level figures to really get that information all together in one shared area. So we can focus on one specific blindness training program, but then we can also say we've held 35 of those workshops this year. We used to serve only 80 individuals. We've expanded to 250 in 2022. That's an increase from 20%. Have some really great, fantastic figures to show the impact of your work, but making sure that you really highlight someone who's being directly impacted as well. So a great way to kind of mirror the two of them together. So in addition to your staff volunteers, your board of directors, working and collaborating with community partners and affiliates like in this room is another great way to share and gather information, particularly in areas that you might be missing. So working with organizations and community leaders with similar mission work, serving different communities, particularly the leaders in this group today, you can show alignment and ways to support each other where there might be gaps in that collecting work. And because everyone here on this call has a similar mission, a similar serving program, we want to make sure that you really align with that work, share the resources you have as a team so that everyone's mission work gets stronger. And of course, collecting and communicating data was really essential part of your fundraising efforts in particular. Being able to improve your storytelling capabilities by highlighting specific program participants, the outcomes you're having, even talking through your staff members and why they're involved with the mission that you're doing, creates a really relatable narrative and displays value in your mission work in a way to help others see value in that work as well. So you can utilize these stories and this data in your marketing pushes for email newsletters, social media, end of year appeals, any fundraising material you create. Those stories can be a huge component in making sure that those individuals really understand how to get involved with your mission. And one element in particular for storytelling that I'd like to highlight is the ability to craft your organization's elevator pitch. And what an elevator pitch is a great first step in getting comfortable with storytelling and sharing your mission work in a way that feels comfortable for you. So elevator pitches should be roughly about 2 minutes long, and it highlights who you are as an organization, what you do, and how is it different than the other organizations doing similar work, and why you are personally involved in that mission. So the elevator pitch should be very specific to you as an individual. And of course, the elevator pitch should always end with how can the person you're speaking with get involved with your mission? You should always leave them with a call to action. So do you want them to volunteer? Would you like them to make a donation, share your social media? If you're able to describe your organization, the impact you're having, make sure there's always an opportunity so that they can still get involved as well. And of course, you want to make it as comfortable for the elevator pitch to be specific to you. So whatever way that you like to describe your mission and the impact you're having in your communities, that is going to be the most powerful way to encourage donations and fundraising support. Phrase it in a way that works best for you. So this will really help once you've kind of narrowed down that elevator pitch, practice it consistently. And this helps with verbal communication, sharing your story on social media, drafting grants, creating proposals. And just remember that everyone in the team, everyone on your staff, everyone on your board, everyone can be a fundraiser. So having everybody have their own version of their elevator pitch can really support your storytelling and sharing that impact out with your supporters. So just know that your organizations have access to Resilia. So we have a variety of storytelling and capacity building resources through Siobhan. One in particular is a template called Crafting Your Organization's Elevator Pitch, which she can share with you after this call. And if there's any other questions and Resilia can support you in any way, here's my email right here. And I hope everyone has a great day and thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.